Welcome to this week's Sandpile, and I tongue-in-cheek put it out there as where are you at? And that's what I really wanted to know was where are folks at with getting off a business catalyst. And I hope that through sharing some of the results, you either will get some confirmation of the direction that you've chosen, or perhaps you'll realize that you're not the only one in a given situation, and take some solace in that, a little bit of comfort in that. So feel free to try and ask your questions in the chat, and I will do what I can to get to them, and we'll go from there. All right, so this was an interesting chart for me. So I started off with some questions along the lines of we decided and are actively moving, we've decided, waiting for more information, we're still researching, or whatever. So the largest majority here is still researching, where they've narrowed it down to 1 to 3 candidates. And that's just over 40% of us here. And Clay just found the chat. Yeah, I guess that's not terribly surprising to me. I'm not surprised by that. I'm in some ways I'm feeling pretty good that we're kind of in that same 40% group, and it's nice that we've got it narrowed down to 1 to 3 candidates. That's pretty cool. The next largest one is still researching and no clear choice yet. So there's still 20% of us that in all cases, I'm saying of the ones that responded to the survey, not the BC community as a whole, that are still researching, and there's no clear choice yet. So if you're in that boat, you're not alone. There's still lots of folks doing that. And the next highest is we've decided, they're waiting on hiring developers, they're waiting on some training, maybe hiring contractors, and that's roughly 12%. So that's positive direction as far as I'm concerned. 14% are actively moving sites to the new platform, and I'm really encouraged by that. That's fairly healthy, folks, for really just getting the news however many weeks ago, 6 weeks ago or so, to be actively moving sites already is really good. The one I'm excited about, and maybe this was even just a bit of a lark, but only one person said that they're considering packing it up and closing up shop. Now, if that's true, I'm sad for that particular person, and I wish them the best of luck going forward. If they decide to pack it up and close shop, I'm hopeful that perhaps it was just someone's feeling that particular day, and they're not necessarily going to do that. And the rest are variations of a theme, right? Decided pretty much, but sticking out probably for another year, not rushing, exiting with a plan, still researching. Someone's going to skill up on WordPress, and someone's considering other options. So hopefully you'll find yourself in these groups and not feel alone, or at least get some confirmation that you're on the right track. Either at the end of this Sandpile or somewhere, maybe if I get further down, I'm going to make this available. So if you re-click the link, you'll be able to see all these results and take out of it what you want. You can copy and paste to do whatever you want. So then I have this, which you may find interesting. So the next question was if you care to share what your platform was. And I was going to put like checkboxes, and I thought, maybe just better let people type in what they're doing. So I did spend a little bit of time yesterday and a little bit more today, and just tried to extract that into something that would kind of make sense for you. And I'll certainly put this in a PDF and share it out for you later. Again, probably not a big surprise. 24% are looking, and this is either have decided or are looking hard at this particular platform. So 24% Platform OS, then Webflow, then Umbraco, WordPress 10%, Triple Co-Productions, whatever they're going to do, is at 8%. Weebly Cloud 6%. Duda is in there. Symboly, which I hadn't heard of before, which is the other reason I wanted to not just have checkboxes. And then we run into the smallers, where there's 2 people or 1 people in the Drupals, the Shopifys, the Squarespaces, the Concrete 5s, the Kenticos, the Magentos, the OpenCarts. So if you think about what you're looking at, and if you're looking for the group confirmation, this might be it for you. So again, I'm going to throw this out into a PDF, and it'll be on the meeting page along with the recording. Any surprises for anybody with those results? Just put your note in the chat there. While you're doing that, I'm just looking at Mary's note there, and she found that I know that she uses a fair bit of Edge animations on her projects, and she found that she can't put that into Weebly Cloud, so that's interesting. Yeah, Webflow is higher than Home. Whoever Home is thought. I think I was a little bit surprised by that too. I I liked what I saw when it was presented, but I had trouble with perhaps the constraining factor of it. So maybe once you get a chance to look at it and work with it, it's not such a big deal. Yeah, Jack, I got to say I'm a little surprised by that too. That Platform OS is so popular since it doesn't exist yet. It does exist, but the add-ons, the attachments, the connections, the way you work with it are not necessarily there yet. I saw Adam Cook released a video today, which may be helpful for folks. I don't know if someone else has the link. Maybe I can get the link here. Hang on a sec. I'll just paste it in the chat. It's worth watching. It definitely gives you a feeling for how right now you can read his summary, and then there's a video at the bottom where he basically sets up a site and just goes over at a basic level what it might look like, and recognize that there's people out there that are building admin interfaces. There's people out there that are building the layers on top of Platform OS to make it work more like you might expect it to, like some of these other platforms. But I was surprised at the level of folks that are throwing their cards in that particular camp, given that a lot of people don't feel it's necessarily ready for prime time. And Alexander, I have no idea what they're shooting for a launch date anymore. So Aaron loves it so far. He's got early access there, and he's playing with it. Mary says Weebly Cloud is pretty simple and straightforward. So again, the intent of this was just so you can kind of see where the community as a whole is going, and either get confirmation or confidence to maybe look in that direction. So that's what that's about. Excuse me. Now, I don't know the best way to go about this. Some of these are fairly long answers. So what did I have next was care to share what platform, what answers do you still need? So I'm worried that if I spend too much time on each of these, we'll never get through them all, but let's have a go at it. So these are some of the answers that people are still looking for. So if you have the answer to a question, maybe throw it into the chat and try and phrase it in such a way that I know which question it involves with, and I'll add that to the question, and that will go out within the PDF that I ultimately save out. So people are still looking for the cost and complexity of Platform OS, and they're looking for some more experience with Webflow. Makes sense? A question I can't answer: why would they kill something that has no obvious peer equivalent in the marketplace? That's been asked and not answered by Adobe. I don't know if we'll ever get that kind of an answer from them. Someone wonders, can Platform OS serve their client base? And of course, that depends on their client base, but they're still speculating. Someone said, ideally, it would be best if Platform OS was cheaper. I know Adam Broadway has been making some strides along that route and offering some Business Catalyst partner specific pricing, which may address that. There's some complex liquid with what I saw in Adam, and I can see up front at this point, we're not looking, Chicago Digital is not necessarily looking at Platform OS. We're waiting to see if there's a bit of an evolution before we look that direction. So I don't want to come across as promoting Platform OS or not promoting it. I'm just giving you information. So the question was this whole liquid markup thing. And again, Adam Cook did in his overview video, talked about that, and it may give you some comfort when you watch that. Yeah, Clay says that a lot of them he hasn't heard of, and they're interested in which ones can be edited with code, HTML, and CSS. Again, if you have an opinion on that, just throw it in the chat there. Someone else is looking for help or updates with Platform OS or Umbraco that isn't already available. So a getting started webinar, how to migrate an existing client to either platform would be great. I think those will evolve. Adam Broadway has talked about some of those videos coming out, and I'm starting to see it with Adam Cook's release today, where someone in the community's had access and is kind of showing how some of that stuff can be done. Trisha's posted a link in there where you can actually play with the action panel, which is built on top of, well, not necessarily. The action panel can be on their own servers, or it could also be on Platform OS. So, but if you want to play with CodeProduction's offering, you can play with it at that link. So someone else is not a developer. They'd love to hear how action panel is coming. Again, I think all of us would. Someone else, tongue-in-cheek, maybe a little sarcastically, said they might consider Platform OS at some point when they get their act together. So they're just, it's early stages, and they're just waiting for more before they make a move in that direction or consider it even. It may not be the right choice for them. Someone else would like to know what WordPress plugins people are using to duplicate the various BC features and functions. I'm not sure who that was. In Chicago Digital, we're considering WordPress, and we have found some plugins that we've kind of standardized on. We have found some that makes sense to us from a web app replacement perspective. So that's give us some encouragement and confidence that this may be a platform for us to use. Certainly, if we decide to go with WordPress, we're looking at WP Engine or an industrial grade hosting platform with security and release handling and security handling and all the rest of that. Someone else wants to see if Code Production can deliver their solutions with extensive web app support. Sure. Someone else is waiting to see how Synergy 8 and Platform OS shake out. I'm a very big fan of that Synergy 8. I had no idea that tool was out there. What I like the most about it for those clients, that marketing automation is real cool. And we've got some clients that love just to collect email addresses and contacts through their call to actions, and then they want to drip market to them, and they want to treat customers differently based on what they've clicked in an email or what pages they visited and stuff. And I'm pretty excited by that. So I'm not sure where that's going to go, but I've been a fan of that, and I'm trying to get Mike and Scott to have a look at it within Chicago Digital there. So solutions are cobbled together with third-party apps, CRM, CMS, email marketing, and they're just frustrated by that. They really would like to. They prefer to have something where this stuff is all bundled together again. And I don't disagree with that. I'm not sure that we're going to be able to get to that point again, maybe. And even Platform OS, if they can add all those things in, it's almost always going to be someone in the market has built an API connection or a plugin or an add-on that takes care of that functionality. So even if Platform OS ends up doing all that stuff, it's going to be through third-party additions. Someone else needs to figure out email. Yeah, I still have my own agency, and I'm looking at a few clients, what I'm going to do with them, and probably I'm going to point them towards Gmail, and they're going to have to pay their $5 a month or whatever it is for a Gmail app. That's where I'm going. I'm not suggesting you have to do that, but that's where I'm going. I think that's the most palatable for my client base. Mary Higgins doesn't want to learn anything new. Daniel said that he's holding on for Code Production because he feels that they have the closest functionality to BC. Trisha says she's worked with Code Production for roughly 3 years, and they have kept their deadlines and promises to her consistently, like what they set out for their deadlines for the website concerning Action Panel. So she's been impressed with them so far, and agrees that Synergy 8 is looking impressive for marketing. You guys can read that in the chat. I'm reading that more so because the chat never makes it through to the recording, so I'm just trying to kind of echo that into the recording. Someone's still trying to figure out the best options for third-party integrations. Someone's having a hard time staying in the loop. Hopefully you'll find these Sandpiles help. At least it's consistent. You know when it is. Anybody that steps forward and wants to present, I've opened the door for them. They're welcome to it. I'll schedule it out. So that's why you're seeing Synergy 8. That's why you're seeing Triple and Code Production. That's why you're seeing Weebly Cloud. If anybody else is out there and they want to present, all they got to do is contact me, daveh@chicagodigital.com. So someone else needs to understand the tools and front-end frameworks, administrative tools, etc., to get started building. So, any of these tools that we're looking at all work a little bit differently, and I've been poking around some of them, and yeah, they all work a little bit different. And you do something that you used to do, and it breaks in this case, and you have to figure out the workaround and stuff. And it helps to find the community for sure. When I was poking around Weebly Cloud, Kareem was great at giving me help over a couple of road bumps I had with that. So. Mary's, just reading Mary's thing. I think we can move BC email to their own reseller account with a third-party okay, sure. Jane is too long for me to read. Sorry, Jane. That's just too much for me to read out loud and keep everybody's attention. Someone else is waiting for more info on Triple and Platform OS. They want to see how those two might connect together and hoping they will do everything that BC did, but better. I agree with that sentiment. The conversion quality when so much custom development and app dev. So someone else is, as they find a platform, they want to make sure that as they move a site across, they want to make sure that the quality is there. Like how much do they have to redo? And I don't blame you. So I'd love to see these videos where they take a site and move it across and make it work and give you a feel for that. Someone else wants to know what BC Gurus will do moving forward. And wouldn't mind moving to a platform they will use. I have very limited knowledge on that. I do know that that Brent has people actively looking at other platforms where they could set up shop and move things. Hang on. I got a big red mark on my screen. I don't know what that's from. If that's on my screen or if someone was able to draw on my screen. So I can just tell you that he's definitely looking at it. Which tells me he doesn't want the BC Gurus platform itself to die. I think he'd like to find a way to keep it running, and I believe he's actively looking. So that's about all I can share with you. That's about all I know. So someone's looking for an integrated CRM solution, email marketing solution, email account hosting, complex web app transitions. So that same thing, looking for that all-in-one solution and is just not seeing it there yet. Someone else, the ability to track inventory for product variables. Manage training events for display. So they're looking for that functionality again, and they haven't found a platform that's doing it. And again, the intent of this is just so, like, if you see your same questions in here, you're not alone. That's really what I'm about here, is just showing you what people are thinking. Future of code production and Platform OS. Hosting costs is come up several times. It's a factor. How stable and developer heavy, and the cost of the sites on Platform OS. Jack says, I thought BC Gurus was not built on Business Catalyst. You are correct. It's not. What I'm saying is he would like to find a platform that he can then have the same infrastructure, begin to make templates for, begin to make tutorials about how to do something on a given platform. He's just deciding what platform that may be. So BC Gurus, as far as it goes, it's on a .NET platform, and I believe it would stay on a .NET platform. But it's the products and services that they're offering would be pointed at a specific platform. Hopefully that clarifies that. Mary says Platform OS has to be more front-end developer friendly for her to use it. What Adam showed is out of your current skill set. I don't necessarily disagree with that, Mary, but I was encouraged by the relative simplicity of it. And if we can get some people building front ends that obscure that, so that you can say, make me a new site, here's my page templates, here's my content holders, if you will, that same verbiage that we're used to using, then I think that's going to make that platform successful. Yeah. Phil says he keeps getting ads from Duo. I'm assuming that might be, anybody seen those guys? Duo? I've never heard of them myself. Nothing at the moment, no questions. A case of monitoring what others are experiencing and seeing what alternatives they try. Hopefully today will help them with that. Again, the whole email, pricing, partner benefits, solidity and flexibility of the email campaign capabilities. So see, now someone did do that. Who did that? Who's writing on my screen? I might have to find a way to stop that. That's just mean. Someone's just waiting for Platform OS, struggling for a concise e-commerce system that can match BC's product groupings and variations. I don't know. We haven't decided on an e-commerce platform yet. All right. I don't know who's doing that, but I'm going to find you. We haven't landed on an e-commerce platform yet. We're thinking that we need one that's more dedicated. We have a few things in mind. We're in no particular hurry, but we haven't standardized on one yet ourselves. Email, web, CRM, newsletter, one platform. Yeah, that whole integration. You have to find one that does everything. Detailed information on how Weebly Cloud works. Whoever submitted that, I would contact Kareem. He was super he helped me. I set up an account. I got access in. I loaded some templates. I loaded our framework up and proceeded to break that and then get it back working again. Phil says it might be Duda, not Duo. If it's Duda, well, that's definitely been mentioned, and there are some recordings out there for webinars that we've had with them. So yeah, so e-commerce, nothing yet. Detailed information about how Weebly Cloud works. That's where I was. I reached out to Kareem. He was great talking about Weebly Cloud. Someone said, I'd like to keep some clients in BC for a couple of years, but I don't trust Adobe. Do I take the hit and move the sites or have the customers pay? Interesting. I'd like to hear people's opinions. My personal opinion is I think it's fine. I think they're going to keep it up and running. You're not going to get any functionality increase or along those lines, but I think they're going to be true to their word and keep it going till the end date. It's just not in their interest to have gone so far as to extend it a year and then to pull it back doesn't make sense to me. Trisha asked, do you think BC will keep installing security updates? I believe so. I believe so. They've already indicated that they're going to complete the compliance thing for the UK. So I don't see why they wouldn't keep going with the security updates. Now, again, Trisha, that's my opinion. I have no direct connection to Adobe and no information directly from them. That's just my opinion based on my experience with them. Someone else looking for more details, again, that they're waiting for Platform OS to evolve a bit before they can make a choice on there. Same thing, good hosting solution and all-in-one admin. And some more information about pricing. I hope Adam Broadway, he did self-promote in the survey. You'll see one of them, he did admit to it that it was him. So that was fair enough. But I hope he either watches, he's on now or watches the recording. I can't see him on the screen, but lots of folks are interested in some clarity on the pricing and what that's going to look like, how they're going to build modules, how they're going to build web app-like functionality. Lots of folks are looking for that. Is there greater interest for migrating to an open source platform? I think you saw in the previous document what that might look like. If you're looking for an open source outside of that, well, I don't know. Someone else is concerned about migration. They want to see some of this seamless transfer before they're going to make a commitment. Barbara says she's already turned away 2 new clients. I can appreciate what you're saying there. Mary says, or Alexandra says, she would take on new clients and find or create a solution that works for them. She wouldn't turn away business. Jack asks, is anyone thinking of starting or completing a new site on Business Catalyst and then wait it out for Platform OS? That's an interesting question. Mary says they're only using new platforms. Ahmed says we're looking for an e-com or for Equid e-commerce platform. They're not are looking for Equid e-commerce platform, but they do not cover all the BC features. And Jane says she's hedged her bets on some current work in Webflow. Daniel says they continue building in BC. Bruce says he's also building a new site on BC. So, 3 years is enough time, I think. If you had something in process or in the works, it kind of makes sense. Someone else learning the platform, of course. Someone else waiting to see the offerings that Platform OS has. Someone else was curious why Adobe didn't offer their Experience Cloud for a reduced price to all BC clients. In my opinion, that's a different product, and that might be why. Someone else looking for the migration process. Pricing is a problem because they feel they're going to have to pay more, and they're not. You got to have that. You have to have a strategy with that going forward. Same thing here. Pricing, some specific functionality questions. Someone else waiting on Platform OS and code production to finalize their features and prices. Hopefully those folks are watching. I would like someone to demo Shopify in the context of Business Catalyst. If anybody who's on now would love to do that or knows someone who would love to do that, I'm happy to host that on Sandpile. So reach me at daveh@chicagodigital.com. I would love to see that myself. Someone else says patience is the long game here. Some clarity about migration. Nothing provides as complete a solution as BC, in their opinion, at the price point. I think I have to agree with that. I think we've been, as much as people are hurting now, I think we've been getting a discount for a while compared to what's available in the marketplace. Someone else, same thing. How do they all fit together? How are these third-party systems going to work? Someone else is not certain how to get started and what to communicate to clients. There's been some conversation about that in these Sandpiles. In the Slack channel, somebody has shared letters that they're sending out to their clients, which I think has been very helpful. Developer resources, and finally pricing. When will I have pricing nailed down? $50 per month starting, but what are the, with what limits? They're worried about the open-endedness of that pricing because it's based on usage and they don't necessarily understand that. Back to the chat here. Jane says Experience Cloud is a whole different ballgame. They quote individually per site, do most of the dev structure, and the average contract is $450,000 a year. Different ballgame. Bruce says the Near Me back end looks nice. Not sure why that isn't the starting place for Platform OS. In my knowledge, my experience, Bruce, is that Near Me is something that's an admin that they built for Near Me. It's not meant to go, it works on top of Platform OS, but it's not part of Platform OS. So we need to wait for some folks to develop that admin interface and make it connect to your Platform OS site and make it repeatable and consistent. So. Cool. So that is the answers people are still waiting for. And then I did ask any info or experiences you'd like to share with the Sandpile community. Aaron, do you want to grab the mic there and maybe talk about your experience before I go through this? I just want to make sure you have a chance. Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, you can hear me okay?
Yes.
Thumbs up. So I'm in the same boat as probably most of you guys. I've been following the chat here as well, and questions on whether or not we're still building sites in BC. And I'm kind of in the same mindset. I actually have 2 BC sites on the go right now, and I'm just going to keep rolling along in BC. Like, I don't know if it's denial or I don't know what it is, but I'm just going to keep rolling along like everything's normal. Because a lot of my sites, at least for the past year, I've literally been building them out with tons of liquid markup in them. So it's a bit scary for me right now not having a platform to go to. Like I've looked at Duda, I've looked at Weebly, I've looked at WordPress. Not a big fan of WordPress and the bloated code. So I'm kind of like trying to figure out where we're going with all this. And I joined the Platform OS partner group. And I got to be honest, I was a little bit lost because I build all my sites very old school, like SFTP, push it up through Dreamweaver, back and forth. Probably not the best way to do it, but it's how I've been doing it. So any of the CLI, the command line tool stuff, the terminal stuff, I have no idea how to do it. So even just going through Adam's video, and I had actually spoken to Adam before this, but it's actually not as tough as it looks. And I actually got into Platform OS and I started playing around with the structure and the CLI, like the command line terminal, and doing things auto syncing and everything. And it's been actually really, really cool. I've just played around with that. I've literally just made a quick little homepage. But the fact that they're using Liquid and the fact that you're actually able to create your own variables and value, it's actually really cool. So I'm actually looking forward to getting more into it. I still don't know how to create a model, what Adam calls it's like the more robust web app. But that's sort of my next step. But I just wanted to at least get in there to, set up my preprocessors, my HTML files, all that. But so far it's been really easy. And now it's just to the point where I'm, while you're doing your day-to-day, just trying to figure out time to actually learn this new stuff. That's the tricky part. And then the flip side, so you're trying to figure out, who we're migrating all these sites to. And I actually have some old Muse clients that those are my first targets. I'm trying to get those guys just like I can literally just move you from BC to, I don't know, a managed hosting platform. I don't like, they can just do the integrated web forms and all that. So I'm trying to get rid of all those guys. And then my next step is I'm going to start getting rid of email hosting, just because I'm not a big fan of just being an email IT guy. So that's my goal, is to get rid of those guys in the next, 6 months. So when I say get rid of them, moving them onto, G Suite or Outlook or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so far everybody's been quite receptive, but the problem is it's like with anything with Business Catalyst. I mean, we have an account that has 50 email accounts. One of the soccer clubs I do a website for. So what's that? It's a $20 a month extra that they're paying for BC email add-ons. So for them to take those 50 email accounts and move them to G Suite at $5 minimum a user, now they're up to $250 a month. I'm sure there's some volume discounts there, but
you might be better to like throw that at GoDaddy and buy one of their, in that case.
Right, but it's even GoDaddy is still like $3-4. It still adds up, right? So I don't think people realized how good BC. I mean, with all its flaws, I don't think people realized how good and how all-encompassing it was. So this is the struggle that I'm running into, is just trying to that challenge to find people, to make sure your existing clients are happy. They get their emails moving, and we have a plan for them. That's all they really want. I know for a fact, as an agency, there'll be migration that we'll have to do, but I'm not going to be on the hook for this. I'm sorry. This is going to be clients that are going to be, we're going to try to mitigate it as best as we can. But I mean, this is an Adobe thing. So we do our best to mitigate wherever we can. What I am finding though is, if we can get if Platform OS can get the pricing set up properly, that's going to be the big transition. Because if anybody has sites that are built using a lot of Liquid, that's going to be your best option by far, without a doubt.
Cool.
But I know their pricing structure is a little bit weird, and I know from what I gather, they're pushing their pricing structure off a little bit with the extra year announcement on BC. So, and how they have their pricing is set up based on users, which is crazy. So, so I'm still trying to figure out what best to do.
Yeah,
but
no, fair enough. A couple of things I'll say based on what you said, Aaron. You kind of have to take a step back and remember what it was like to learn Business Catalyst at first as well. And I think any Platform OS or anything else is going to take that, a similar level of learning curve. So we all had to find our BC Gurus and our BC Academies and our platforms where we could get the education that we need in order to be able to use these platforms. And they're just not there yet in most cases. And that's, I think, the frustration we're hearing on some of that stuff. I don't particularly feel that a pricing model based on users or usage is necessarily unfair. It's just not what we're used to. I can appreciate what you're saying. It's a bit of an unknown, and can be a little bit tough to sell that. But that's one of the reasons why Adobe decided to end of life Business Catalyst, because of profitability. So it's hard to say for sure.
I have a client that's on HubSpot, and they're used to paying those big fees. Yeah. But most of my clients don't use the CRM, so it's to pay that extra cost for user count, it's a tough one to digest.
Yeah, agreed. Does anyone else have experiences they'd like to share verbally before I kind of go through the list here, which I think the verbally would be much more valuable? Just go ahead and grab the mic if you do. So Mary says, you don't need to move BC email. You can move to Open SRS, just become a reseller for them. And she thought she heard it was like $5 a year for each mailbox. So maybe look at that, Aaron. Open SRS, so you can see it in the chat there. Now, there's a few things in there on that Open SRS, so that might be worth checking out. Okay, no one else wants to grab it there. Studio RTP, yes, this will be recorded. If you check tomorrow around noonish time, you'll see the recording link on the meeting notes, as well as PDFs of the stuff I'm going through here. So I'll just kind of continue reading here. This is any info or experiences people would like to share. Someone feels like they're lost in a maze. They just don't know how to step forward. They don't know how to take that first step. And I think, my opinion, you kind of have to make your best guess and take a few steps in that direction. And if it doesn't feel right, don't be afraid to change directions. If it does feel right, don't be afraid to start running instead of walking. If anybody would be willing to take a phone call or an email exchange with that person who wrote that, if you just drop your email address in the chat there, that would be cool. If we can help somebody else in the community, maybe they just need someone to talk to and at a deeper level here. So someone's looking to pursue larger clients. Platform OS appears to be able to handle that. I would agree with that sentiment. Yeah, and just kind of becoming excited about what's to come. And the community coming together has been wonderful. So enjoying the Sandpile and the town halls. I hope we can continue this this platform. It's been fabulous for Business Catalyst, and I hope it can be evolve into something that's valuable and worthwhile going forward. I'd like, my personal hope is that it becomes platform agnostic and it becomes about running an agency. What are the challenges of running an agency more so than any specific platform? Or maybe you talk about all the different platforms and we continue to do what we've been doing, where someone comes on and says, shows how to do this on Weebly Cloud, and someone comes on and says how to do this on Platform OS. HostGator's Cloud Sites plan offers the build of subdomains while sites are built. Okay. They can be migrated to client sites when you're ready to go live. Yeah. From that perspective, WP Engine does the same thing. You use a dev environment until you're ready to go live. You can move sites around, all the rest of that. So there are definitely some of these better platforms allow you to do that. Someone else feels unless Platform OS is a reality, you see a little hope of a BC-like platform that can offer the same level of integration that we've become used to. Yeah, I can agree with that sentiment. Again, these will all be in a PDF that you can read in detail later. Someone else has found that the customer support has been excellent with both Duda and Weebly Cloud. I can echo that sentiment for Weebly Cloud. I haven't tried Duda yet. So someone else cautions getting locked into another proprietary platform. While I agree in principle, I don't know that it's as straightforward as that. I think almost any platform is is proprietary to some degree. Even Business Catalyst largely is HTML, CSS. Where you run into trouble is the dynamic aspect of it. So, WordPress, same thing. There's dynamic access to a database. Platform OS, same thing. It's HTML, CSS, but you have to have dynamic access into a database. And as soon as you introduce that, I think you're locked into a proprietary platform. So that's my opinion.
Can I just say something about this one as well?
Sure, go ahead. Who's that, sorry?
Sorry, it's Jane.
Go ahead, Jane, thanks.
So we've been building websites since 1995, 96. And over that time, we've been through a number of open source platforms, as well as some proprietary platforms. Both still have the risk of being abandoned in some way or some form. Just because something is the leading platform at the time doesn't mean it will be around forever. Open source projects get abandoned often. User groups split, there's fights, there's a whole lot of stuff that can actually happen, which over the years we've been through in a number of times. Just because it's an open source platform doesn't mean it won't happen. And there are risks and advantages to both sides of the thing. But it's really important to realize that the risk still actually exists.
Yeah, definitely agree. It's, thanks for clarifying that from the community perspective. I would agree with everything you said there. So someone else says they're torn between several options, including Weebly Cloud and Duda, and looking for a higher end platform, perhaps for the more complicated sites. Umbraco Cloud is not as daunting as you might perceive. If you've missed it, in last week's recording, or the week before, I can't remember which one, in one of those, I added a link to the recording where Pretty did. Here it is. Yeah. So the next steps for Sandpile, there's a link here at the bottom, and that is the recording of Pretty's presentation of Kentico and Umbraco Cloud. I was pretty impressed with Umbraco Cloud. again, when I talked to Scott and Mike about it, the challenge is like there's 3 or 4 or 5 decent platforms out there, and it's a fairly significant investment into any one of them to get where you need to go. So you're kind of hoping for some differentiators or something to pop up to say, hey, this is the direction maybe you should go. Until then, I mean, it's deciding on a platform, in my opinion, is months away, not days away or weeks away. Like I think it's months away before you can make a firm decision. So that's like my dad always said, it's free advice. Take it for what it's worth. Someone says Symfony is very good for DIYs. I'm not sure what NPO is, and non-complex sites. So I hadn't heard of Symfony. If you have, great. BigCommerce and Shopify are expensive. They have lots of plugins and support. What I've seen of Shopify, what I've heard, is that it works fabulous for out-of-the-box e-commerce. But if you need to customize it, that's where you perhaps need more experience and may run into some challenges and roadblocks. That's what I've heard. That's based on hearsay and opinion. How's that for a disclaimer? Yeah, BC left a huge hole in the market for sure. Adam asked about co-production and integration with Platform OS. I haven't seen anything. Trisha pasted in a link, may help you, but I haven't seen anything specifically with that connection. Adam says Craft CMS and Craft Commerce are using Arcus Tech server hosting. Seems real promising. Yeah, we've been kind of poking around Craft CMS a little bit. Light CMS is another one mentioned by Jack. It's one of the closer matches that he's seen for a BC partner setup. So that's Light CMS. And Alexander reminds us that deciding on a platform is determined to some degree by the clients you work with. If you're pursuing bigger clients, or she's pursuing bigger clients, but the tiny businesses are going to do that. So she's still looking for something for the bigger client aspect. Ursula says she's going to Pixel Together for her brochureware sites. I personally, for my Digital Link Multimedia agency, I have a number of clients that are just small in nature, and I just want to help them without just saying, sorry, your site's going to be dead in 3 years, have a nice day. I'm offering to move them over to Squarespace, frankly. That's my choice for my clients. And if you've been on these for a while, you know that they are keynote speakers, business coaches. They're typically one-person operations, and I call them mavens and mavericks. So they're older folks, and they just have what they really need is business card sites. So I'm going to get them all moved over and set up on Squarespace. If they want to go somewhere else, they're perfectly welcome to. But that's what I've offered my group of folks, just so that I don't leave them swinging in the wind, as it were. For those that are appropriate, I'm pulling them into Chicago Digital if it makes a difference for you guys to hear that. So I do have some higher end clients, and Mike is working with them to pull them into as clients of Chicago Digital's. Yeah. Although I've fought against it for years, I've decided on WordPress, at least for now. I certainly go in the premium route, much like I said earlier. Paid for plugins. We've kind of narrowed it down to 10 or 11 plugins. And the direction from our technical VP, which is Scott Schuffer, is, if at all possible, don't add any more beyond these ones that we've checked, we've standardized on, and we've approved. That maybe speaks to Aaron's point about bloated code and all the rest of it. We're using our own framework. We're using our own code largely. We're really using WordPress as a delivery mechanism and trying to hand code as much as possible. And by hand code, I mean not just pull in a plugin where you have no idea who wrote it, what's in it, and all the rest of it. We're writing our own loop structures. We're writing our own PHP coded stuff, and that's how we're handling that particular aspect, Aaron. Someone else thinking positively. It's been a good way to completely. Where did that go? Sorry, it jumped on me there. It's been a good way to completely review what they're doing. Their business model will change significantly. So, you know what? Life gives you lemons, make some lemonade, and that's what I see there. It's a great opportunity to maybe pass on some clients that are no longer a fit for your organization, and maybe focus on the ones that are. Let me check the notes here. So Jane says her issue with most of the web builders, jump there, is there is no room for growth in your clients. If they need functionality, you need to rebuild. So that's, yeah, I see what you're saying there. Like a lot of the DIY like builders or the where you're using this block based approach where it's the drag and drop thing. I don't want to call it DIYs because it's not really, but it's the drag and drop interface. If you need to go beyond what they're offering, your only choice then is to rebuild. So I definitely agree with you there. So Ursula's encouraging me to go have a look at Pixel together. I'll maybe do that. Yeah, Jack reminds me that WordPress engine limits the plugins you can actually use, which is kind of what got us on that track. They stop you from using ones that are questionable or are known to cause problems, and they give you a list of ones that they've checked with their platform and that they know work and don't give anybody any grief. Mary echoes that room for growth is crucial. Alexandra says she's renovating her business too. So far, our clients are liking the changes, so there is some positive news there. And Trisha, that's too long for me to read. Sorry. If you want to read Trisha's note about Symvoli, it's in the chat there. So someone says they've been working to get a template into Weebly Cloud all week. Learned a lot, but not quite there yet. I would echo that experience. I had a little challenge there too. Seems to be some good help available for BC partners for sure. There's a huge time difference between them in the US and in Australia. You might want to reach out directly to support, who I believe, I may be wrong, but I believe is in Europe or Eastern Europe, and that might be more appropriate. I've had some good help there from, let me just check here in my notes, Omar. He's one of the main support guys with Weebly Cloud, and he's been fabulous and responsive. But I do notice there's a time delay. I'm in Western Canada, so I noticed there's a time delay in his responses. So you might find in Australia he's closer to yours. If anybody has any links to video tutorials for Weebly Cloud, if they could paste them in the chat, that would be cool. I don't have any handy, Mary. Someone else says they're impressed with Squarespace, even though it isn't discussed in group settings. I've used support twice and was extremely impressed. Certain customers will really like the built-in image editor and beautiful font library. You know, again, it's a matter of knowing your clients. For the simple sites that some of my clients have, as long as I can find a template that will work for them, then I think it's going to be fine. My way to get there, just to be fair, to share with you, my existing agency site, which I'm going to shut down, frankly, is DigitalLink Multimedia. So this is just going to go away with the Business Catalyst side of things, but I do have a personal site, and don't be afraid, that's just me. It's obvious, for those that know me, it's an old picture. I'm going to migrate the content off of this site, which is just a one-pager, onto Squarespace, and through that experience, I'm hoping to help my clients and just understand it better and be better able to help my clients. So I'm a little vain in that I have hagblood.ca. I got it mostly so I could piss off my brothers. Actually, I got 3 brothers, and once I got it, I said I'd give them all email addresses for a small upcharge. It didn't go well. Anyway, so I'm going to set that up, and that'll be my way forward to learning the Squarespace site. So when it comes time to move my clients over, it'll take less time. Mary Blight says there are lots of help pages and videos easy to find in Google for Weebly Cloud. So just Google Weebly Cloud tutorials, Mary Higgins. That seems like it's going to work. Oh man, stop jumping. So someone else says they're glad and actually relieved that we're here to help as a community. Having Adobe give the news for Killing BC struck fear and concern in many of us, and the Sandpile is providing some real direct communication to find solutions. Grateful and thankful, and I've heard that from many different fronts, and I'm glad the community has come together in the way that they have, and I hope we can find a way to continue that for sure. Backup BC just announced a new data extractor. On that note, I don't know quite how to package it up to you. I got some notes from the folks over at where is it? Cloud9 Online, and he's built a little tool, a little page for extracting blog posts in a way that makes sense. So I unfortunately he sent it to me 3 times. Each time they use it, they find something and they update it and they update it. So it wasn't quite something I can just share with you today. If you're interested in it, reach out to me at daveh@chicagodigital.com, and I'll connect you with the folks that sent it to me from Cloud9 Online. Or if nothing else, I'll send you what I have, and you can figure it out from there. But it seemed pretty cool. Basically, you set up a page, put some code on it, and it exports it in a way that you can then get into a CSV and then import your blog post into something. So you may be able to use that for any blogs that you have, but you might be able to use that same technique for other data that you have. And then again, Backup BC has announced a new data extractor. Oh, stop jumping. Maybe I'm just going to do this. Someone else says they're taking their time. Don't feel it's a good strategy to rush into a new solution. That's the one thing I'm personally glad about for this 1 year extension, is it gives you a little bit of time to see how stuff evolves, have some of these conversations, reach out to your peers, maybe try one, and maybe you got time for a couple of stutter steps before you standardize on one. When I'm communicating to my Digital Ink clients, the ones that are left over, I mean, when I tell them they got 3 years to decide, they just go, okay, well, talk to me in 6 months. Talk to me in a year. In some cases, some of them are thinking about packing it up. So, if it's close enough, that's my advice to them is just run it right out to the end. And when it's done, just close it up. Someone says that Umbraco TV has been very helpful for learning the Umbraco stuff. So that's cool. Someone else is just so confused. Webflow looks fabulous, but limited in what it can achieve. WordPress can do everything with plugins, but not exactly designer friendly. I have to agree with that, as the one who's coding the back end and having to relearn PHP and all the rest of that stuff. Platform OS might be out of their reach. Don't have 50 sites to migrate over. I don't. That's just the current requirement, just to get developers using the platform and help them figure some stuff out. I think ultimately there's not going to be a minimum number of sites required there. The limiting factor there might be the monthly hosting, but hard to say. Like CMS offers a developer portal for small sites. Just reading in the notes here. Webflow, Jane says, Webflow is a weird platform that suits my brain really well, but I'm a firm believer you actually need to be able to code to understand it. Fair enough. And Ursula says she also believes that 50 sites is no longer a thing. Mary Higgins says it helped her to hear that some are still using BC for new clients. She's dead in the water without a new platform, and she can migrate later, she supposes. So. Jack asks if Chicago Digital is looking at anything other than WordPress. We absolutely are. I'm personally looking at some of the stuff for the more entry-level sites, and Scott Scheffler is looking at the stuff for the higher-end sites. We see it probably as a three-platform setup. One, again, for the more basic sites. The ones that are too basic, we're maybe making a choice where we're going to let them go or help them migrate off to somewhere else. But there's certainly some that have been great. We've had them for years, and they pay their bills all the time, and we want to hang on to them. So we're looking at a platform for that. And if I can be direct, we're looking at like a Weebly Cloud, or I had to go at Squarespace. It's not quite enough for those particular clients for our purposes. We thought about just using WordPress and picking up, maybe 4 or 5 good solid themes. But the thinking was, if you're developing your custom sites on the same platform, then the temptation is to, because you can fix a template or because you can do things outside of a template, then for these lower end sites that you really shouldn't be playing around, and you end up playing around with them. And so the current thinking is we really want a three-tier site there. I personally really like this Synergy 8. It's a little pricey for that level of client, but for what it offers, I think it looks slick. It looks simple to use, and when he reveals the code and it's just HTML and CSS, I'm going, man, that kind of feels good. So I'm personally hoping to have a go at that. Hopefully that answers your question, Jack. So Phil asks, what part of email is most interesting to BC partners here? Mass communication and newsletters, or email boxes for individual clients? So put your answer in the comments. Jane's got a long list there. They're currently looking at Kentico, Odoo, Umbraco, and Craft. They've already got Magento and Shopify in the mix, but they're ditching Magento and they're ditching Magento, and Webflow is solving some issues for us in the short term at least. So they got several going there. Alexandra says she likes Synergy 8 too for website marketing tools, and the right clients won't mind the price. I kind of have to agree. If you can show them how that automation can, like one of my lines in Digital Ink was, you don't need a website, you need clients, and a website is a way to get clients. So if I can show you how to get one new client a month, does that pay whatever premium you think you're paying for Synergy 8? So, yeah, Light CMS offers a developer portal for small sites. In their case, it lacks multilingual support. Interesting. Same with Webflow and Weebly. If you're a developer, then the headless CMS Kentico Cloud is a good alternative. I kind of myself put that on almost on par with a Platform OS, or that same level of client, not necessarily the platform, but the same level of client. Yeah, Jane's issue with Synergy 8 was that how they feel that her clients are their clients. That might be a bit of a swallow, yeah. And that there's no North American data centers, although they're planning for it. So again, I'd want to see that first before we migrate across. But I appreciate what you're saying there, Jane. It's, yeah, that might be a stopper for the folks that run Chicago Digital, as opposed to someone like me who just codes sites. So someone says Sandpile and Facebook have been fabulous. Special thanks to Barbara. You bet. As a single operator, it's been a blessing to have someone sharing their research. Reminder to resist making a rush decision. You do have time. At some point you're going to have to make a move, but I think there's generally speaking enough time. If you're a big enough agency where you got 150 sites, well, then you should have access to development resources to help you get those migrated. If you're a smaller entity, I had some 40 sites I have to take care of, and I'm in no particular rush to get those things taken care of, if you will. Someone else is, they don't have any sites, but they do have 4 which are heavily customized with web apps and Liquid, with one displaying e-commerce site with 3 levels of pricing. So looking for a home for that. Someone else says nothing really standing out yet. And you're welcome for the efforts. And Bruce reminds us that the bottom line is there's nothing really exactly like BC. So someone else says Webflow has the best CMS they found, but all other services would need to be third-party integrations. Someone else says they're not sure they'll be back in time tonight, but we'll watch the recording. Sandpile is still very much needed. Thanks for that support. And this was Mr. Broadway. Let me paste this. This was something he added. So I'm just going to copy that link. That is a link to Platform OS resources. At least I believe it is. Let's just check. Well, that's not what I thought it was. No, maybe it was, sorry. Yeah, okay, so POS, I don't know why it came up as Chicago Digital Drive, so I thought it was our files. I see now it's not. It's it definitely is the Platform OS stuff. Cool, well, that brings us pretty close to the hour. I figured it would. I appreciate everyone's time and opinion. Let's just see if there's any last minute additions here, because we do have a few more. Someone said they have moved a simple site to GoDaddy and all is working well. Client doesn't maintain the site, so no CMS was required. So that was fine. And someone else says my client needs easy transition flow with the same centralized services on a server or platform as VC is right now. Same price would be nice too. Okay, well, tongue in cheek, I say good luck with that. As we're finding, it's kind of all over the map there. So All right. I'm fine to stay here a little while longer if people want to chat. Let me just stop sharing the screen. But this is the end of the official time for Sandpile. And thank you very much for your participation in the survey and today in the session. And I'll stay around for a bit more in case people want to have a chat. Feel free to grab the mic and just say whatever you like. Thanks, Mary.
Testing. Can you hear me, Dave?
Check. Sunday. Yes, I can hear you.
I started typing this and I thought it would be quicker to have a quick chat. It's actually about Pixel Together.
Uh-huh.
Are you? So I was pretty much determined that I was going to use Squarespace for the brochure sites. I even met with someone here in Adelaide who specialises in Squarespace because I thought I'm just going to let them do it rather than me, rack my brains.
Mm-hmm.
And so he offered to create a site for me in Squarespace just as a test, which was a very simple brochureware site that I had in Business Catalyst. And he put that together, and then I asked him how much that would cost. And he said something like $2,300, which I thought, oh my God. Okay, so just put that to the side. Then one of the suppliers that Adam Broadway found somewhere or other was this Pixel Together, who are an Australian company. And they have theirs is white label, so that's a tick. But also their market is the current Squarespace market. So I actually met with that guy in Adelaide because he happened to be visiting Adelaide. And I said, how much would it cost to transfer this site, exactly the same site, into Pixel Together if you guys did it? And he said $150. Right? Like significant difference.
Wow.
And I said, is this other Squarespace guy having me on? Like, why would he charge that? He said, no, it actually takes that much time. So I thought, that's interesting. You know what I mean? It takes that much time to get it into Squarespace. Having said that, the reason I'd be considering Pixel Together is because I can extend its functionality through something like ActiveCampaign. So anything to do with forms and marketing workflows, they don't have it all. So to me, it's the simplest kind of design-specific platform, but it's much more flexible in terms of design. And this is the other bit I really love about it. It's meant to be able to do the same thing as Webflow in terms of export out, and so I could then, when the client's requirements grow, I can easily export them out into Platform OS. So that's pretty much why I'm going to go that way, because I'm going to be going Platform OS as much as I can once we've got all the information. But this is like a nice transition path for me, especially as I can put in forms and iframes and all of those kind of things from whatever third-party thing that I want for marketing purposes. So it's really worth a look. I just thought I'd let you know, because I was absolutely going to go down the Squarespace path until I got that quote, and I thought, no way. And then this comparison quote made a big difference.
Was that site transfer as it existed, so it would look the same on the Pixel Together platform?
Yeah. And I've got to say that this site is so basic that there's not even a form on it, but they can have a contact form on it. That's not a problem. But this, actually, I'll tell you what site it was. I'll just put a link to it.
I'm assuming after the site's been moved, that then you could go in there and do whatever edits you might want to do after the fact, right?
Yeah, the editor is beautiful. So, sorry, that's the other part of it. Like the in context, it's like an in context editor. That's really, really gorgeous. Hang on, I'll just put Pixel Together in the thing as well.
And at this point, this one has not been moved yet, right?
No, it hasn't. No, it's going to be moved in the next week or so.
Yeah, like I say though, it's a pretty basic site, and for $150, yeah.
As opposed to 2,300. And yeah, I said to the guy that runs Pixel Together. Oh, sorry. On a side note, Pixel Together is a company that was mentored by Bardia Hausman.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Huh.
So Adams there said that would be robbery. Well, that's what I thought. So would you? Are you familiar with putting a site into Squarespace, Adam? Because I thought that was extreme as well. But Simon from Pixel Together said it actually takes a long time to get something looking a particular way in.
My approach, frankly, was to move the content across into one of their templates. That's how I was going to go, which would have kept the cost down. I was not going to try and rebuild their sites in it, but boy, if you could just say, take this site, move it, and build it in here, that would be
even easier.
Well, yeah,
especially
and I would.
If someone else does it for you.
Yeah. And I would just pass the cost on to them as that's what it costs to move it across, and away you go. Right?
Yeah.
You've got to look to Australian development costs are really quite high. Like it's unlikely you'll find anybody at a professional level doing much under $175 an hour.
Okay, so that might be part of it. See, I had that's out of my reality.
Cool. Well, it's definitely, thanks for that, Ursh. It's definitely a big swing there. I mean, one's 10% of the other, right? Cool. A few more things in the chat there. So someone asked, Bruce asked about Webflow and web apps. The two plugins we found, I tossed the sheet in the garbage. The two plugins we found that seem to give us the web app type functionality are custom page types, UI, and advanced custom fields. So between those, we've been able to replicate a lot of what we were doing with web apps in WordPress. If that helps. All right, thanks, Urs. Have a good night. Good day, I guess, for you. Okay, well, it looks like everyone's done for now, so I'm just going to close it all up. Advanced custom post type UI and advanced custom fields are the two names, Jack. Custom post types UI and advanced custom fields.
Just one more thing from me.
Sure.
One of the things that we're seeing from some of the partners we work with is that there's a kind of holding on to terminology that they're used to rather than outcomes. So for example, platforms that they're investigating are telling them that they can't use FTP, but not realizing that all the user is telling them is that they actually mean a way to develop on the computers and upload it to a system. And so once you get involved in that sort of terminology complaint, then you miss out on a lot of the functionality that some of these platforms are actually offering.
Yeah, fair enough. So don't be obscured by like, don't call them web apps anymore. Call it by the functionality that they're after. We need something that will do this, and don't call it a web app. Is what I'm getting out of that. Yeah. Thanks, Jane. All right. Have a good night, evening, day, whatever it is for you. We'll talk to you next week.